This is Real Deal Sports Talk with KP, December 4th, 2018.
Mr. Green.
I'm vowed to be the nicest. On the mic it with rhyme writing. My mind states gone cipher divine righteous. This is the sound of refinement. Extra time spent on every line written. You can hear the difference, but I'm rhyming. The barbarian rap writings like Clash of the Titans. I wield the pen like Poseidon holding the golden triton. On the mic I strike faster than vipers and flashes of bolts of lightning. My poetry will leave the Pope enlightened. Whack rappers is past time, you paid the Pied Piper. As the price just skyrocket, I stand to make a profit. I rap circles and spirals above your favorite artist, like an identifiable flying object with balls so far over your head. I might as well be rhyming in high orbit. If I dumb the metaphors down, you think the sky was falling. Rappers' arms too short to shadow box with the lords in the pantheon of rap. I'm the high exalted, the new God flow. Prepare your offering. I treat the booth like the synagogue, cause the mic's my calling. I should congregate a following, although agnostic. You felt the flow was God sent, further personifying my Messiah complex. I'm a wordsmith, the Wizard of Oz over percussion, throwing up sick bars. My flow fucking disgusting. Cutting edge caliber, higher purpose and vision. We write our own rhymes, you buying verses that's written. Mixed martial bars that'll beat you into submission. Lethal like a steel desert eagle with precision. Switch the elements, I'm the alchemist when I'm mixing metals. Accelerate on these devils, we reaching different levels in my own zone in this game. Like I play alone, breaking bones like a giant in the Game of Thrones. I hire breathe like a dragon when he fire breathe. I'm never separated from the mic, it's like we Siamese. Ultramagnetic MCs spit it magnificent, so deliberate with the sickest shit, it's ridiculous. Patterned after the greatest to ever do it, the legends destined to manifest on this earth. What's up in heaven? In 24/7, this presentation is feature worthy. Got so much class, I study, I'm never leaving early. Every song sensational, heavy rotational. Snakes will try to copy this style, but they not capable. Overcame problems, could damage a man's confidence, and now we making music that travels across continents. You could call me Mars with these bars, I'm like the god of war, a battle rap cannibalistic beast, a carnivore.
And welcome in. It is December 4th, 2018. It's your boy KP. This is Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. Thanks for tuning in today. Thanks for listening. We got coaches being fired. We got coaches retiring. We haven't checked in on the NBA and the NHL since the beginning of the season. So we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to try and wrap it up into a short package. We got some fun facts that have just been coming out recently, and we got to get to my picks for this week. So we're going to jump right into it. Let's go ahead and just kick it off with Mike McCarthy, former Green Bay Packers head coach now. We all kind of thought the rumors were coming. Little talks here and there. They're not winning. No talent. Same boring offense. Everything I've been saying it week to week on this show. The Packers will be as good as Aaron Rodgers can make them every week. And he has not been successful at doing that this year. Now, sure, he has one interception on the season. He also throws the ball away all the time because he doesn't have faith in anybody on that team right now outside of Devontae Adams. He doesn't have faith in their big free agent acquisition, Jimmy Graham. He doesn't have faith in Equanimeous St. Brown. Jamal Williams is finally getting some carries. But they're running the same offense. It's my argument that I've had about Detroit's offense. It's my argument I've had about the Broncos' offense. They are running this boring line-up and play offense. There is no misdirection. They're not scheming guys open. They're not attacking defense's weaknesses. They are lining up, calling a play with no rhyme or reason to it is what it seems like. It's almost, people have said it this week as well, this is the same offense they've been running since Brett Favre was there. Primarily it is. It's a little different. McCarthy does come from the West Coast offense coaching tree, but he's not running the exact same offense with the exact same play calls or terminology that Mike Holmgren was running. It's his version. And it's worn its way. For a team that we've talked about that does not spend money on free agents, whether it's their own or incoming. Signing Mo Wilkerson and Jimmy Graham this offseason was like, whoa, look what the Packers are doing. They're trying to get pieces. Mo goes down, Jimmy Graham's spent. And you're left with a team that doesn't have any weapons. So somebody's got to fall. The organization's not going to fire itself. The GM's not going to walk away unless the team president tells him to. So it's Mike McCarthy. People want to blame Aaron Rodgers for it. Look, wouldn't you be frustrated if you were at your job? You knew you could be doing stuff with better efficiency, turning out a better product if you could change something, and your boss refused to let you change it and said, no, we're going to go with this. We have a system. So here you are. You're stuck. You have to do what the boss says. Of course you're going to be frustrated. Of course, if asked, you might go ahead and let out that you don't want to work for or play for that person anymore, that you'd like some change. In this case, the Packers said, you know what? We're 4-7-1. We've been on a decline pretty much since the Super Bowl. We're going to make the change at head coach. Joe Philbin steps in as the interim. Nobody's worried about Joe Philbin as a head coach. He hasn't done well at that in the past. The Packers have basically mailed it in this season. Now, they've got professionals. They have Aaron Rodgers. Jamal Williams is trying to make a name for himself. That receiving corps is trying to prove themselves worthy. So they're going to go out and compete. They're not going to be happy with a home loss against Arizona with their coach getting fired. They've got a rallying call this week. Now, where does Mike, he's the fall guy in all this, right? It's not working. They won't spend the money. Rodgers is locked up, and he's still one of the best in the game, so you're not getting rid of him. But there's no evolving on that offense. So Mike McCarthy goes, this is a copycat league. People want to see points being put up. People want to see the ball going all over the field. And when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers and you've paid him $100+ million guaranteed, you expect more. Now, McCarthy was a Super Bowl champion. He does have 125 wins all time as the Packers coach, which is second only to Curly Lambeau. He does have the fourth highest winning percentage of a coach in history at 621. He has made the playoff for 8 straight seasons. They did win the division for 6 straight years under him. But that team has been steadily on a decline, depending more and more on Aaron Rodgers doing the same thing day in and day out for the last several years. So yes, is he a good coach? Could he go somewhere else like the Browns or something like that next year and turn those teams around and make them better? Of course. Because that'll be new to them. Packers, I think, are going to have a lot of turnover. I think they're in a rebuild mode. And if I was Aaron Rodgers, I would be second-guessing choosing loyalty as opposed to maybe testing free agency. Adam Schefter, coaches who have led their teams to Super Bowl titles only to be fired by the team later. Hank Steen, Don McCafferty, Tom Landry, Mike Ditka, George Seifert, Mike Shanahan, Brian Billick, John Gruden, Mike McCarthy. McCafferty and McCarthy are the only in-season Super Bowl winning head coaches to be fired. So this isn't unprecedented. It's happened to a lot of good coaches. Mike Shanahan, Brian Billick, George Seifert. Ditka, Tom Landry. Okay, so it's not that outrageous that a coach who's been very good, who's had a lot of success, would be let go and they would move on. So that, is perspective for it. Now, does Mike McCarthy go to another NFL team next year? Does he decide to do something else like ESPN, Fox? Does he go down to the college level and coach there? Does he just take some time off and step away from the game? That's a story we'll have to, we'll see play out, I'm sure. Now, we've already seen all kinds of stories, rumors, and thoughts out there about who's going to replace him in Green Bay. Pat Fitzgerald, the Northwestern head coach. John DeFilippo, the Vikings offensive coordinator. Joe Philbin, who's now the interim head coach. Cliff Kingsbury, as we all know, he is no longer on the market. He's going to be USC's offensive coordinator. Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator, has been rumored. Lincoln Riley, the Oklahoma head coach. Bruce Arians, even though he said the only job he would take was Cleveland. Maybe thinking I can work with Aaron Rodgers, not thinking McCarthy was going to be fired. Opens up Bruce Arians to that idea. We've heard a lot about this Josh McDaniels idea, and there's other assistants out there that would welcome being on his staff in Green Bay. As a Lions fan, please go ruin Green Bay, Josh. Go do to Green Bay what you did to Denver. As an NFL fan, could be a good storyline. Matt Patricia versus Josh McDaniels twice a year. Former Belichick disciples in the same division. Both wonderkin. Here we go. So exciting. Now maybe Josh has learned from his failed experience here in Denver. Maybe he wised up. Maybe he took more notes. Took a chill pill. Relaxed a little bit. Another coach's name that's out there, maybe they're going to be interested in a guy like Jim Harbaugh. I think that would be an amazing pairing. Jim Harbaugh with Aaron Rodgers. We all saw what Jim Harbaugh was able to do with Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick. Aaron Rodgers is a combination of both of those players, but better. Now, they still need talent. They still need players. They still need the offensive line to stay healthy. But I think that pairing, could put the Packers right back in division championship mode. You got to compete with Chicago's defense, but that can be done. Other coaching news coming out. Urban Meyer is retiring, finger quotes. Now, remember, back when the scandal happened, prior to the season, prior to his little suspension against schools that didn't matter, back when the text messages were being talked about and the coach was being found out for domestic violence, Urban was being found out that he knew the information, gave the guy a raise, the university was, and Urban were turning an eye to it, sullying their reputations, being caught in a scandal. Too much money on the line. I told you guys back then, they're not going to fire him with the amount of guaranteed money he has left. But I would bet at the end of the season he walks away. Here we are at the end of the season, and perfect timing for this to happen right now. Because now all the press gets out of the way before they go to the Rose Bowl. And then it's barely a story come the time of the Rose Bowl. So that's why they're announcing that now, in my opinion. Is it a few months too late? Yeah. They should have just gone ahead and parted ways at the beginning of the season and eaten the money that they would have had to give him. So is he retiring? Yeah, you could call it that. But really, this is what they decided. Yes, he has health reasons. Yes, he has, I believe, a cyst in his head. But the bottom fell out this year. You lose to Purdue by 29 points. Then you go out and just demolish Michigan. It's just not there. You had enough talent to be in the college football playoff. But that loss, coupled with the other things that are going on this season to that team, to that coaching staff, to Urban Meyer. And here you are. You're on the outside looking in. You do get to go to the bowl game, which Urban Meyer's always wanted to be a part of the Rose Bowl, so now he's getting that opportunity as a coach. And Ryan Day is getting to take over. Experienced guy, coached positions. He's been a coordinator. He's been all over the map, coached with different guys. We'll see how he can do with a very talented roster. He'll lose some guys to the NFL draft, of course. It's Ohio State. They always lose, 7 to 10 guys, at least, that get drafted. A few others might sign some practice squad deals or sign up as unrestricted free agents. And, you put the scandal aside, put goggles on. Don't put the scandal aside, because his decision to let that go, his decision to help his guy because he wanted him on the coaching staff, however it went down, which we know it went down, so them saying it didn't and there was no knowledge, that's just not true. Put goggles on. Look at him through the microscope of football coach, not human being. Great career as a football coach. By all means, one of the best college football coaches there's been. Game managers, talent selectors, recruiters. He's been good at it. At Utah, at Florida, at Ohio State. But he's now sullied by perception. And some of that, yes, I attribute to the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement never should have had to happen. We should all be better people and better males than that. But Urban Meyer gets to go on to the next phase of his life. And maybe that's doing more TV work. Maybe he goes back to ESPN. Maybe he joins a Fox. Maybe he joins The Athletic, who are doing so well, acquiring very great talent right now. What does this do ultimately to Ohio State? We'll have to see. Does Ryan Day not just take over, but become the head coach moving forward completely? Is that the plan? How does that affect recruiting for next year? Commitments come February, March. Does this open a window for a Jim Harbaugh to not go to the Packers because Michigan is now in a spot where they can become the dominant power for a few seasons or more in the Big Ten? Does Purdue take a leap? Does Northwestern get better? Does Penn State get better? The dynamics change after the Rose Bowl in the Big Ten. That's for sure. We're also seeing a big dynamic change this year in the NBA. If you look at the NBA right now, it's amazing where the teams are at, about of a quarter away into the season. If you look at the standings, Charles Barkley very well, again, I'm going to give Charles credit on this one because he had the Nuggets being a 3 seed as his preseason prediction. And currently, as we stand, with their victory over the top team in the NBA so far this season, the Toronto Raptors last night, the Denver Nuggets find themselves as the 1 seed in the Western Conference with a tiebreaker over the Clippers. Both of them have a 16-7 mark. Followed by Oklahoma City, Golden State, the Lakers, Memphis, Trailblazers, and then the Mavericks, are currently sitting in 8. We expected more out of Minnesota this year. We've expected more out of New Orleans, San Antonio, Houston, and the Jazz for that matter. Western Conference is going to end up being crazy. The difference between the 1 seed and the 8 seed right now is 4 games. Between 1 and 5 is 2 games. A lot of good basketball. The Nuggets have been impressive. Gary Harris kind of gets a groin injury last night. We'll see how many games he misses moving forward. They still have Isaiah Thomas, who's going to be coming back possibly this month, maybe in January, and Michael Porter Jr., who right now they don't need to play this year. Maybe get him some reps at the end of the season. Have him be a bench guy just to get in this year. But there's no rush to bring him back with the way the Nuggets are playing right now. They have one of the best point differentials in the league. They have one of the best scoring defenses in the league. In fact, I'm looking right now. They have the best opponent's point per game at 102.7. And the next best is the Thunder at 103.6. Oh, there's one. Pacers also 102.7 on the season. So they're tied for the best mark there defensively as far as how many points they're giving away. There's only 2 teams in the NBA that have a better point differential. They're on a 6-game win streak. I mean, it's really impressive, the basketball that the Denver Nuggets are playing right now. Oklahoma City, they're playing much better this season than they did last season. Houston, Utah, we need to see them definitely pick up. The Pelicans, I had about an 8th seed. Minnesota, we thought would be better before Jimmy Butler's trade to the Sixers. And San Antonio, we really didn't know what San Antonio was going to be like this season without Kawhi. That being said, on the Eastern Conference side, Kawhi has led the Raptors to the best record in the NBA. He's 20-5 on the season. Kawhi has the best winning percentage as an individual player in the history of the NBA, better than Magic Johnson, better than Larry Bird. And all they did was win and go to championships in the 80s. Milwaukee's looking strong this season. 76ers have the second most wins in the NBA at 17. Pistons are surprising people this year. Blake Griffin has had a great effect on that offense, the new coaching staff. Indiana Pacers in the 5th seed. The Celtics, who we all thought was probably the NBA championship contenders, sitting in the 6th seed right now, still trying to figure it out. Charlotte's at 7. They're a tough, scrappy team, but not championship quality right now. And then the Magic have found their way into the 8th seed. This is a team that didn't really have anything going for them last year. Now, there's not a lot of teams below there that we really thought were going to be able to do anything, or at least that I didn't think were going to be able to do anything this season. We expect a little more from Washington. It's too bad Miami, Dwayne Wade came back, and they're not even going to sniff the playoffs this year unless a lot of teams just start tanking and stinking to join up. And then Brooklyn, New York, Cleveland, Chicago, Atlanta. Chicago fired their coach. Hoiberg's out. Nobody thought those teams were going to do anything. Now, stat leaders, that's another story. James Harden having another great season. You got 2 guys averaging 30 points plus right now. James Harden and Kevin Durant. Anthony Davis is top 5 in points and blocks on the season. I'd like to see him be up there in rebounds. Giannis is top 5 in points, rebounds. Kyle Lowry's doing his thing, just running the point this year, being able to distribute. Chris Paul, I think, needs to pick his game up a little bit. He's top 5 in both assists and steals, but he's 5th in both assists and steals. We're not really seeing that team click like it did last year, not with the defense, not with the offense. And you can't blame Melo no more because you've had him sitting on the bench not being able to play basketball for a couple weeks. Hassan Whiteside leads the league in blocks. Andre Drummond's leading the league in rebounds. Robert Covington leads the league in steals. And Rudy Gobert in field goal percentage. It's about the time where I start paying more attention to the NBA because the NFL is starting to wrap up a little bit, getting to the second half of the season. The Christmas Day games I always love. So I'm going to start ramping up my visual, my watching of NBA games and highlights and seeing what these teams are really doing and start to break them down. And we'll talk about them a little more. Who's doing good on offense, who's good on defense. Lonzo Ball, by all numbers, should be right now, if he made the teams today, an all-defensive player this season. NHL-wise, look, you guys know, I've talked about this many times on the show. I really start watching the NHL when we get to the playoff time. Okay? But I follow it. I stay up to where the teams are doing. I just don't really start watching a lot of hockey until the end of the year. I don't. Colorado Avs, they've been on a streak. It looks like they're struggling tonight, already down 3-0 to Pittsburgh, who they did beat the other night. But the Avs are having a great season right now, as they are 2 points behind Nashville for first place in the Western Conference. To match that, they're going to have to get the win tonight, which right now it looks like they're going to need quite the comeback. They have a plus 26 point differential on the season. There's only 2 teams who have better than that, and that's Tampa Bay and Toronto in the Eastern Conference at plus 28. They're young, they're strong, and just like Bernie Nichols from All Sports Market, who he had on the show back in April or May, I believe, who played 20 years in the NHL, he said, watch out for this Colorado Avalanche team. They have one of the best scoring lines in the NHL. I can't wait to start watching a little more hockey. I'm excited about it. Their fight with the Red Wings the other night had me being all nostalgic. Even having a Bertuzzi involved and having him being a cheap shot garbage guy, man, yeah, okay, he got speared. The guy came into your bench, you grabbed his stick, you wouldn't let it go, he tried to get it, you pulled his head down and sucker punched him. One was an act within a game. One was a premeditated attack to get a guy back. You can't be out there spearing people. I'm not trying to make, excuses for the Avs player. But what Bertuzzi did was garbage. But I love to see it. Because I got nostalgic. Because it made me remember those great rivalries between the Avalanche and the Red Wings. Where is Vegas at in the Pacific? They are 4th in the Pacific right now, the Golden Knights. So not quite having the splash this season that they did last year, but still a good season right now. 29 points on the season. On the Eastern side, where is Washington at? Washington is 1st in the Metropolitan Division, defending Stanley Cup champions, with 33 points right now. So once again, Washington's having a good season. And then Tampa Bay leads all of hockey with 41 points on the season right now. Now, who are your top goal point getters? Well, the top 2 in all of the NHL are Mikko Rantanen and Nathan MacKinnon, both for the Colorado Avalanche. So you can understand why these 2 teams are having that team is having such a good season. Top 2 point getters in the league both play for them. Tampa Bay, top point team right now in the NHL. I said NBA, NHL. Nika Kucherov and Brandon Point, both top 5, both for Tampa Bay in points. So you have 2 teams playing really well, a lot of points early on in the season, both with a couple of guys in the top 5 in points. Colorado also, their goalies, Semyon Varlamov, he's 4th in save percentage. McKinnon is 4th in overall goals at 19. Gabriel Landeskog, he leads the league in plus minus at 19. Frederick Anderson leads the league in wins at 15. Yaroslav Halak of Boston leads the league in save percentage at 936. And then Pekka Ryan, of Nashville is the goal against leader at 1.81. Patrick Lane of Winnipeg is the top goal scorer on the season with 21. So a lot of good hockey. I'll start getting more into hockey. We're looking end of February, beginning of March is when I start. But we'll check in it every now and then just to see what's going. We'll keep up on the highlights and what the big stories are for sure. A little notification coming in there. We're at the point right now where you got a team in Washington, the Redskins, who somehow have managed in back-to-back weeks to have lost 2 quarterbacks to broken legs. This is a team that in that same time frame claimed Reuben Foster off of waivers after his second domestic violence allegation of the calendar year. You have right now Mr. Butt Fumble Mark Sanchez as your quarterback, who recovered a butt fumble last night with a team that was before the quarterback injuries, with the other injuries they had, and even the lack of talent they really had in Washington, that was primed to win the division. They weren't turning the ball over. They were scoring enough points. The defense was making plays and playing tough. It's unraveling very fast. This is a team. Now, I don't expect this to happen. I don't think Dan Snyder has the cojones, the balls, to make this happen. I think his big business acumen and the crowd that he runs with will ultimately influence his decision more so than anything. But this is a team that needs to sign Colin Kaepernick for the remainder of the season. You can bring him in. You can install a simple offense, run heavy with Adrian Peterson, play action pass, bootleg pass, quarterback sneaks, RPO up and down the field. You will get more out of that situation than you will achieve with Mark Sanchez at quarterback, and you are still in a position to win the division and or get in as a wild card. You are not out of it at this point, although things look grim at best. But you claim a Reuben Foster, so you're showing that some of these social issues don't matter to you. You're in a market where you're going to make a ton of money in Washington by signing a guy like Colin Kaepernick. Make it happen. Because right now, with the decisions these teams are making, it's becoming easier and easier to prove that there was collusion and that he's been blackballed. Week 14 is upon us. For a lot of you, your fantasy playoffs are starting this week. For my fantasy league, KP's Showdown, they'll be starting next week. We have one more week to determine the final standings. Currently, I am sitting one slot out of the playoffs for the first time. But I got this week to try and make that up. And hopefully I can get in as the 5th or 6th seed. If not, congratulations to everybody so far on the season in KP's 3rd annual showdown. But week 14 in the NFL, my picks are as follows. I will take Tennessee over Jacksonville on Thursday night. In Sunday's games, I'm taking a lot of road teams this week. A lot of road teams. I'm taking the Jets to beat Buffalo, the Giants to beat Washington, the Saints to rebound and beat Tampa Bay. I'll take the Patriots over Miami. I'm going to take Baltimore to upset Kansas City. That's my upset of the week, I believe. Yeah, that's my big upset of the week. A couple of them, not going to be big upsets, but they're technically underdogs. But I'll take Baltimore to upset Kansas City. Houston over Indianapolis. That's the first or the second home team I'm taking on the schedule this week. I'll take Carolina over Cleveland. I think they get a little boost this week and play with a little play angry this week, watching their coordinators walk out the door, knowing they're on this losing streak. I'll take Atlanta to beat Green Bay. I don't think the coaching change there is enough of a rallying call for Green Bay this week for them to get the victory. Atlanta just has more talent. I will take Denver to beat San Francisco. The Chargers as my 3rd home team to beat Cincinnati. Philadelphia to beat Dallas and tie them for the division lead. I will take Detroit over Arizona. Pittsburgh over Oakland. Seattle to beat Minnesota on Monday night. And on Sunday night, I will take the Rams to get past Chicago. Ultimately, I think they have just too much offense for Chicago to keep up with. Those are my picks for week 14. Now let's get some fun facts before we get out of here. Lions defensive tackle Damon Harrison has an elite resume right now on the season. He leads all NFL defensive tackles with 64 tackles on the season. He has this, and that includes Aaron Donald. Remember, Aaron Donald lines up at defensive tackle. He also lines up as defensive end. But as a defensive tackle, Damon Harrison has the most tackles on the season. He has the second most run stuffs among defensive tackles at 8.0. He's the only defensive tackle with 60-plus tackles, 8-plus tackles for loss, 3-plus sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. And he has a career-high 3.5 sacks right now on the season. I like that one because he has helped our run defense and our defense overall get better. He's helped the players on that team get better. A'Shawn Robinson has gotten better since he joined the club. Andrew Mason on Twitter. Philip Lindsay versus Saquon Barkley on a per-touch, receptions plus rush attempts basis. Yards per touch. Lindsay 6.3, Barkley 5.8. Move the chains rate. Lindsay, 1 first down every 3.4 touches. Barkley, 1 first down every 4.3 touches. Touchdown rate. Lindsay, 1 touchdown every 19.9 touches. Barkley, 1 touchdown every 22.4 touches. Now, if you remember, going back to the draft, these were my top 2 running backs in the draft. I had Barkley 1, I had Lindsay 2. I thought Lindsay would be a late first round, early second round guy. Here it is, it's playing out. Lindsay on 41 fewer carries, it looks like, on the season. Both of these guys almost to 1,000 yards rushing. Barkley needs 40-plus yards. Lindsay needs 60-plus yards. But Lindsay's done it on 41 fewer carries. Is that solely because of the teams they're on and the players around them? Maybe. Maybe. Is it because of injuries? Is it because of talent? Their careers will tell. But right now, Philip Lindsay is a top 5 back in the NFL. In my opinion, if I redrafted or readjusted my picks from last year, I'd have Philip Lindsay 1 and Saquon Barkley 2. I mean, you could argue really either way, but based on production to this point, Philip Lindsay was the better pick. And he wasn't drafted. This is a kid from Colorado. You know another running back who's making splashes in the NFL who's a kid from Colorado? Christian McCaffrey. Salute to Colorado high schools for putting out some running backs. You got 2 of the best game-changing guys that are out there right now with their ability to run and catch. Like an Alvin Kamara. Like formerly a Kareem Hunt. Some of the best that are doing it, both out of Colorado high schools. And McCaffrey's old high school, Valor Christian, just won their 9th title, I think, in 12 years. I mean, they're just killing it. Now, it helps that you're a private school and you can recruit players and, you know, a little bit of different rule base. And you, because you've won titles and where you go and being a Christian school, you have former NFL players and other athletes putting their kids in that school. But you still got to line up and play. Trey Wingo. The Houston Texans have not lost since September 23rd. Since that time, we've had 2 NFL head coaches fired. The Red Sox won the World Series. The NBA season has started. The NHL season has started. Midterms have come and gone. And we've celebrated Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Diwali. And Hanukkah has just begun. And on that note, happy Hanukkah, everybody. Happy holidays to everybody out there. When we get to Christmas, I'll say Merry Christmas. Until then, you know how we do. Just be real.
Yo, Denver City life living, every night getting it. All I see is green like it's night vision. My sight's different, my type driven. These niggas risking a life sittings over white flipping, but I ain't with it, I'm light skinned it. My mind gifted, intelligence in my disposition, aristocratic image, and not to mention I'm nice with it. The ice drip over cardigan sweaters, tight fitting, white linen. This is the type of shit that entice women. The fly shit that I'm on is passing the sky's limits. Why it's not surprising to see that all of these guys live it. I vivid, solemnly swear the rhyme exquisite. With the time I'm giving, my mind flying, define physics. I stay smooth like sipping out of champagne flutes. Always way cool, but it ain't thanks to flame crews. You blame dudes, this that shit that you can't do. That's why you ain't boosted. Watching how I make moves.
City life got me way above the clouds. Keep the audience a picture every time I draw a crowd. I hold my weight with these bars, so make no mistake. I get to cooking like Shake Curry and Golden State. I'm motivated, I'm taking off moving vertically. Saying that they were seeing me lyrically, that's absurd to me. Virtually murdering MCs on purpose. Cutting their body parts into pieces, these verbal surgery. You say you hot, but you ain't burning to the third degree. Time to bring some urgency in the state of emergency. There's no comparison to us, that's way embarrassing. Speaking something from nothing like ancient Native Americans. Man, listen, I'm undergoing a transition. My transmissions is filled with nothing but ambition. No remorse on these rappers like a rolling force. Slip into the game on these seconds inside the Trojan horse. Remorse on these rappers like a rolling force.